Imagine waking up to realize that the most familiar beliefs in Christianity might mask an even deeper reality. The Bible, a cornerstone for billions, once faced challenges from fringe groups whose beliefs were so provocative that they were nearly wiped from existence. This is the story of Gnosticism, a mystical branch of early Christian thought that casts our world as the handiwork of a deceptive force named Yaldabaoth. Rather than urging blind devotion, Gnostic teachings proclaim that each human holds a piece of divine essence, longing to be set free. Over centuries, the institutional church sought to stamp out these ideas, branding them heretical. Why? Because Gnostics challenged not just dogma, but the entire structure of religious authority. For them, salvation wasn't about ritual or obedience. It was about insight, peering behind the curtain of reality to see that we might be living in a cosmic illusion. In this video, we'll explore the ancient roots of Gnosticism, delve into modern parallels like Dolores Cannon's 3 Waves of Volunteers, and reflect on what it all means for us today. If you've ever felt there's something more, some hidden layer beyond the everyday, get ready to confront a version of Christianity that was banned for centuries, yet might hold the key to unlocking your true potential. Our journey begins in the swirling intellectual climate of the first few centuries. Diverse schools of thought competed to define what Jesus' teachings truly meant. Gnostics, unlike mainstream believers, saw the biblical God as incomplete or even malevolent, a lesser deity they called Yaldabaoth. According to their stories, this being was born from a cosmic mishap and became the architect of the physical universe. If you've ever sensed that our world is flawed or riddled with needless suffering, the Gnostics would agree. In their eyes, that imperfection stemmed from an ignorant creator who mistook himself for the true God. This startling idea upends traditional theology. How then did Jesus fit into their worldview? Many Gnostics believed he was sent from the highest realm, the realm of pure spirit, to enlighten humanity about our divine origins. Rather than emphasizing sin and redemption in the traditional sense, Gnostics taught that humans were spiritually asleep. Jesus' parables, they claimed, contained coded hints encouraging us to awaken from the spell of material existence. Artifacts like the Nag Hammadi texts, discovered in Egypt in 1945, offered a treasure trove of Gnostic scriptures, gospels, and revelations that paint a cosmic drama of light versus darkness. In these pages, the human condition is both tragic and glorious. Tragic because we're trapped in a realm crafted by a delusional God, yet glorious because each of us is essentially a spark of an immeasurably greater hidden source. Gaining gnosis meant learning to see past our physical senses and remembering our true divine identity. No easy task in a world that constantly distracts us with fleeting desires and fears. Central to Gnostic philosophy is a stark duality: spirit versus matter, knowledge versus ignorance, the real God versus Yaldabaoth. Picture our everyday life as a stage play, so convincing that the actors themselves have forgotten it's all a performance. We scramble for wealth, chase status, and fear death, never suspecting these might be elaborate props in a cosmic theater. Yaldabaoth, in Gnostic lore, thrives on this deception, perpetuating our amnesia and feeding off the drama we create. Yet, there's a glimmer of hope. The Gnostics believed we each carry a shard of the true God's essence. Think of it as a hidden pilot light in the furnace of our being, waiting to blaze into consciousness once we embrace higher truths. This is where the concept of gnosis, direct, intuitive understanding, comes in. Rather than accepting dogmas from an external authority, Gnostics insisted that salvation is an inside job. Surprisingly, modern science and philosophy echo some of these themes. From quantum theories questioning the solidity of matter to simulation hypotheses that posit our world might be a sophisticated illusion, we find new versions of ancient Gnostic questions. Is reality as real as it seems? Could consciousness be the bedrock of existence, with matter as a secondary phenomenon? The Gnostics would say yes, and that our biggest challenge is remembering who and what we truly are. Fast forward to modern times, and we encounter Dolores, a hypnotherapist whose 3 waves of volunteers concept resonates with Gnostic undertones. According to her clients' past life regressions, these volunteers chose to be born on Earth at critical junctures in history, aiming to guide humanity through a transformative shift. She described 3 distinct waves, each with its own purpose, from laying the groundwork for higher consciousness to actively awakening the masses. What does this have to do with Gnosticism? Both perspectives highlight a hidden, higher reality beyond our everyday senses. If Earth is indeed a realm orchestrated by a flawed or manipulative force, then souls might volunteer to enter this dimension out of compassion to help others realize that we're more than flesh and bone. Canon's volunteers often report feeling out of place in worldly pursuits, money, status, or competition, sensing instead a profound mission to uplift consciousness. Just as Gnostics sought to break the spell cast by Yaldabaoth, these modern volunteers aim to dissolve the illusions that keep humanity asleep to its cosmic potential. Whether you interpret Canon's work literally or see it as a rich metaphor, the message remains: we are not mere spectators, we can be active participants in an awakening that transcends our ordinary perceptions. Historically, such ideas were revolutionary and often dangerous. The early Christian Church was still forming its core doctrines when Gnostic writings began circulating. Figures like Saint Irenaeus branded these teachings heretical, warning that they undermined the bedrock of the Church's authority. If believers could commune directly with the divine spark within, what need was there for hierarchical structures or ordained intermediaries? The Gnostics also interpreted Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection differently from the emerging Orthodox view. Rather than emphasizing atonement for sin, they saw these events as cosmic clues about escaping the grip of the false god. Jesus, in their telling, showed us how to break free from the cycle of death and rebirth by awakening to our true origins. Such interpretations outraged church leaders who were busy unifying the faith under a single creed. Emperor Constantine's endorsement of Christianity in the 4th century further solidified the Church's power. Councils like Nicaea hammered out what would become accepted doctrine, and Gnostic texts were swiftly condemned. This clash wasn't merely theological, it was political. The Church needed a unified front to maintain order, and Gnostic individualism threatened that unity. Yet for all the Church's efforts, the Gnostic spark never fully died. It smoldered in secret communities, waiting for an era more open to spiritual diversity. As the Church's influence spread, it leveraged its authority to root out opposition. Gnostic gospels and letters were burned en masse, their followers sometimes driven into exile or worse. To protect their sacred writings, some Gnostics hid manuscripts in remote caves, sealed them inside jars, and entrusted them to the desert's silent watch. Centuries later, these fragile scrolls would be unearthed at places like Nag Hammadi, igniting scholarly debates about Christianity's lost chapters. Reading these texts is a revelation. Instead of the wrathful, omnipotent God of the Old Testament, you encounter a cosmos layered with divine emanations. Instead of a distant heaven reserved only for the devout, there's a journey inward to the secret place where the true God speaks directly to our soul. These hidden narratives describe a universal drama. We are divine sparks caught in the crossfire between ignorance and truth. Persecution of Gnostic believers wasn't solely about theology, it was about preserving power. If the masses realized they could bypass religious authority and connect to God on their own, the Church's grip would weaken. Despite the persecution, remnants of Gnostic belief influenced medieval mystics, esoteric sects, and even Renaissance alchemy, quietly shaping the Western spiritual landscape. Today, Gnostic ideas are re-emerging in surprising corners. Pop culture teems with themes of hidden realities, from sci-fi blockbusters about simulated worlds to psychological thrillers that question identity. Spiritual movements emphasize inner awakening, echoes of the ancient Gnostic call to discover the kingdom within. Meditation apps, yoga studios, and retreats often promote self-inquiry as the path to higher truth, mirroring the Gnostic push for direct knowledge over dogmatic belief. Even academia joins the fray with renewed interest in consciousness studies. Scientists debate whether mind arises from matter or if matter emerges from consciousness. Philosophers revisit ancient questions about illusions and the true nature of existence. Meanwhile, psychology continues to explore the symbolic dimensions of the human psyche, a modern parallel to the Gnostic emphasis on unveiling hidden layers of reality. For those open to these connections, Gnosticism feels strangely contemporary, an ancient voice reminding us that the final frontier of discovery lies not in outer space, but within our own being. Whether you see Yaldabaoth as a literal cosmic villain or a metaphor for collective ignorance, the remedy remains the same: awaken the divine spark. Recognize that your true self is far grander than any limiting story you've been told. So here we stand, centuries after the Church tried to bury these radical teachings for good. Gnosticism invites you to question the foundation of reality, to consider that the God you've been taught to worship might not be the ultimate creator, and to rediscover the sacred flame within yourself. It's an unsettling yet exhilarating proposition. What if you are far more than you believe, and the world is far less solid than it appears? If this video has stirred your curiosity, show your support by clicking the super thanks button and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt a pull toward hidden truths? Do you suspect there's a layer of existence just beneath the surface of our ordinary lives? Let's spark a conversation about the power of Gnosis and the incredible possibility that we can each help reshape our shared reality. Thank you for journeying with me through these forbidden chapters of Christian history. By daring to peer into the shadows of the past, we might just illuminate a path toward a brighter, more awakened future. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and never forget the greatest revelation may be waiting inside you right now.